Hey friends and family, Judith with Four Corners from Jay, and with Hanukkah coming up, I want to share a little bit of my Dreidle stories. Now I'm not going to get too much into the history and what it means and so on and so forth, but I did find an article on Haaretz with so much information. It talks about the history, which by the way, just, let's get this out now. The spinning top gambling game does originate, it says that there's origins Greek, Roman, Babylonian. And I know many people are more mindful of Babylonian concepts, origins, so forth. So look into that for yourself. I am going to put the article in the description bar. It talks about the gematria, the history again, how it was incorporated into Hanukkah, and how a lot of people utilize the symbolism of it. So, I didn't grow up in any of these traditions, but not growing up, I kind of saw the dreidel always being iconic for Hanukkah, and I didn't understand. I just thought it was a little toy, kind of like for Christmas time. There's always like a little doll, especially a little rag doll. But little dolls are iconic for Christmas because it's a traditional gift that's given. So I just thought it was a dreidel, a spinning top. You just kind of play it. I didn't know that there was a game associated to it. I just thought it was a toy, just a spinning top. Okay, so how it was incorporated into Hanukkah. Many of you know this, so I'm just going to share a brief overview. It's that during the time when all the Torah teachings were taken away, there was persecution against the Jews. No Torah teachings were allowed, so the Jews and the observers of the law would go and play dreidel and be under the impression that they were playing gambling. It's a gambling game. So while it looked like to authorities that they were just having these gambling games, they were really teaching Torah. And so the Jews adopted their Hebrew letters, Nun, Gimel, He, Shin. I have my notes here, sorry. And it would be an acronym for Nes Gadol Haya Sham, which translates to a great miracle happened there. So those outside of Israel would talk about the great miracle that happened there. And in Israel, instead of the Shin, it would be Peh, would translate to Po, here. A great thing happened here. So we just talk about the different battles, the victories, and things like that, and talk about, again, Torah. Under the assumption or the misleading of gambling. That is the basic quick overview. Again, articles in the comments or in the description bar. When I was introduced to it, my husband brought out Dreidel, and he told me, the story, the background story, and I'm watching him describe how it's played, and I'm like, I've done this before. I've played this before. Not in relation to Hanukkah, in relation to just growing up in a gambling family. So when we were little, my sisters and I, young elementary age, we would have my dad's jar of coins, and we would play the Spanish version. I don't really remember the commands, but I remember like, pon uno, saquen todo, just, put one, take all. And I remember having so much fun playing those games, and just all the pennies, and just, it was fun. I remember having so much fun, and so I told my husband that, and I was like, I'm ready, let's do this. So my first experience playing with Hanukkah was with him, and we had both of our kids. He has a son from previous marriage. I have a daughter from previous marriage. It's like the Brady Bunch, but like third. And he brought out a bag of M&Ms. So we're playing. It was like M&Ms and Skittles. It was one of those things. We're playing, and the kids, we're all touching these and just exchanging these M&Ms, and I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out because everyone's touching with their hands. Did they even wash their hands? I know I didn't. I know that, usually the kids were, I think, about 8. And then, so there's the whole, like, touching of the face, touching the hair, touching this, and coughing and sneezing, and just the stuff. And then At the end, I think my husband wanted to like equally divide all the candies amongst everyone, so everyone had candies. I was like, nope, no, you can have them all. We need to make rules so that next time we play, they're individually wrapped candies. So ever since then, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But ever since then, we play with individually wrapped candies so that not everyone's germy hands are touching everyone else's candies. So that was my first experience. It was fun. I remember being quite competitive with my stepson. He won, and I think we played a few rounds. So that was a few years ago. And now how we play. I guess quick. Again, I have a how to play link, not of me, just a link that I found on how to play and what each letter means. Yeah, I didn't write it down. So each side means something else. In the beginning, well, let me back it up. So during Hanukkah, we usually have one gathering where we have friends and family come over. We have the meals and the story time. We ask everyone if they would like to, if they're able to bring a package of individually wrapped candies. Whatever they want, their favorites, up to them. So then people bring to our gathering, they bring these individually wrapped candies and we set it aside. And I think usually after we have a meal is when we play. So we're all kind of like stuffed and sitting there. And that's when we open up the individually wrapped candies and we pass them around. Usually for a short game, you only pass out a few. I would think no less than 5 would be for a good short game. And then maybe 10 for and it also depends on how many people you have. So we'll pass out the candies. Everyone starts with the equal amount, and then you ante up. You have to pay to play. So you either put one candy in the center. If you're playing with more candies, which you can play with anything, you can toys, weird little knickknacks. You can play for actual money if you want. I know that a lot of believers are not about gambling. It's a game for candy. We're okay with it. Follow your convictions. I don't want to discourage any convictions here. I'm sharing my story. So the way we play is we ante up. And if you play with more candies, you can ante up more. So you start the game, you put in 1 piece, or you can start putting in 2 pieces. I think towards the end of the game, once it's narrowed between 2 people, we have them, and to hurry up and get the game moving, we have them ante up even more. I think there's been times where it's just like an all-in kind of game. And so I don't know how we decide on who starts first. I think we just let the youngest one go, or whoever seems most eager to start. Spin the top. Whatever sides it lands on, you either take half of it, you take all of it, you miss a turn, or you have to put one in. The sheen, I think, put one in. The hay, you can take half. And usually we round up. So if there's an odd amount, we just round up that extra. You can take half of whatever's in the center. The gimel, you take all of it. And the nun, you take none. You basically miss a turn. So we play that. Now what I have done, previously we would have 1 dreidel. Oh, I have to share when I had no dreidel. Well, let me start with that. The first year I tried, there was no dreidel. Did not have one. I did not know what I was doing, but you know what? There's an app for everything. There's an app for that. You can go download a dreidel app, and I don't remember how this one was played, but I think you just swipe and it'll spin the dreidel and it'll drop and it'll give you the letter and you play. And it's just the spin. It doesn't keep tabs or anything. You have your own little tokens, game pieces, candies, whatever you want to call it, money. And so that's how I played the first year, and that wasn't so bad. It was quite portable. You always had your dreidel on you. The next year, I think I was given a dreidel that year, and it was a good size, like 2-3 inches. We played with that, where we would pass the dreidel around, and so tip, because we do it after the meal, or because not everyone wants to sit on the floor, or because that's generally where our communal spot is. It's on the floor, in the living room floor. You may be able to sit around the table. But we would have the plates. Those people that aren't able to spit on the floor or whatever, we would have a plate, and everyone would get a plate, and they could spin, or you would pass the plate with the dreidel. That's what it was. So you can spin the dreidel on the plate, so you have your firm surface, your flat surface. So that may be helpful, because we did have carpet and there wasn't really anything to spin on. So that's a helpful tip. Use a plate. So everyone would play. And then I was at Target one year and I saw they had a really good, not good, but they had a decent Hanukkah selection, and there was a party pack where you had dreidels. It was like party favors, so these little like 1-inch dreidels. And I got that. So I believe it was last year, everyone had their own plate and their own dreidel, and they spun it, and they were able to keep their dreidel. So that was my little parting gift for them. They left with their dreidel to go continue the game and continue the story, which, by the way, my husband, he does share the story on why Hanukkah, or why the dreidel was incorporated into the Hanukkah story. So we're not just like randomly gambling. My husband, he's pretty good on sharing the stories on why we do different things, even if it is just, I guess, more outside tradition and not generally accepted by a lot of the community. He shares why we do things or why we don't. He'll say, oh, other people may do things this way. This is how other people do it. We don't do it for this reason, or they do it for that reason. And so he's really good at making sure to share that information, so that when you leave our home and our family, you're able to kind of look into it to yourself and make judgments for yourself and for your own family. So that goes well, and you know, you can always make your allowances when you're playing. You always have that auntie who like gives the kids extra candy when they run out of candy, so that they can continue to play. Because once you run out of candy, you can't ante up. You're not able to pay to play, so you're out. And it's usually down to 2, and you have the ultimate winner. And of course, there's all that extra candy left over, and we pass that out. Everyone can leave with candy and dreidels and food and stories and info and excitement. So I'm gonna make sure that's all my dreidel stories. I've been celebrating maybe 5 years. So this year is a little bit different because we did move in with family, and so there's some things that we're able to do and not do in respect to the family we live with. So I'm not sure how we're going to do it this year. And in fact, a lot of our a lot of our Hanukkah stuff is locked up in storage, and it's not like, oh, it's just in storage, you can go get it. It's like somewhere in there, because everything is in there. So whether we're able to find it or not, or find something we can just buy now, don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen this year. But we are currently, I know I am, I'm reading the book of Maccabees, and I'm just remembering all the awesome provision and miracles and victories, and looking forward to sharing that with my family. So I hope you guys have a good one.